Welcome to another episode of the Rob and Jay Show. That's what we call it, Dave. I know you're laughing already.
You know what?
That's what
I love it.
Listen,
you're our third interview.
It is what it is. We're here at OIS 14 in San Diego, and we've been trying to find, some of the really interesting people in our lives to talk to. So this is another example of us roping in an unwilling participant, but we're privileged to be speaking to Dave LeCause. So, Dave, thanks.
The legend, Dave LeCause.
Right.
Who we've all spoken for. Mm-hmm. We've used all his wonderful products while he was the quarterback at Allergan Eye Care. It's just an amazing run.
Well, Dave's going to talk about that in a minute, but I just want to go on record as saying that Dave, when he was just a little person in the field of ophthalmology, we actually played golf together back in the day.
We did.
You could actually do things,
nice.
Exciting in medicine. You don't have to worry about pharma guidelines at the Seaview in New Jersey.
I will not say anything about any extra mulligans or lost balls, but I do recall that.
I do remember that I was the client and that I was always right. That's all I remember.
I think you're right about that.
Uh-huh. Right. Whatever I say regarding that round of golf is the truth.
No doubt.
Yeah. So, Dave, tell everybody about your past history in ophthalmology. Why do we all know you? Why do we all find this interesting, so important?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to be here, and appreciate the opportunity to spend some time together. I've been fortunate enough to be in eye care for over 30 years, the vast majority at Allergan AbbVie, in a variety of different roles. Started as a sales rep years ago and held a number of senior positions within Allergan, including running the eye care business for about a 6-year stretch. Which touched on retina, dry eye, anterior segment, as well as consumer OTC. So it's been a phenomenal run during my time at Allergan AbbVie. And I have recently stepped away and retired over the past year and have now started to do more work in strategic advising for both established and emerging startup companies within the ophthalmology space as well.
Just like Godfather, you never retire.
Every time I think I'm out.
Well, I remember the conversation that we had. So it must have been a couple of maybe 2 academy ago, where we were chatting, and you kind of gave me a little bit of a sort of a preamble to what was coming down the road that you'd be stepping down. And I think the attitude that you had at that time kind of really struck me, and your desire to get out and do what you're doing now was kind of compelling, right? It's a compelling argument. So tell everybody kind of what made you realize that you wanted to do something different.
Look, I mean, I've been incredibly blessed to have been with a great organization like Allergan for so many years, which had brought so many great products to this space. But I just felt like the opportunity to take on some new challenges and to frankly give back and help companies at a different stage of their life cycle was a really interesting one for me, that I wanted to take an opportunity and try to embrace that, take on the challenges, but also give back in a bit of a way as well.
It's funny, Jay, we've had podcasts, right? I mean, I interviewed Jay, and Jay's, spoken to me, and you find that there's this thread that runs through the innovative community here, and a lot of people who leave industry end up trying to figure out ways to stay connected, right? And you're a perfect example of that, as having this illustrious career through ophthalmology and being on the corporate side, and then saying, well, how can I translate that into something, where can I best apply what I've learned into the innovation life cycle? And we know that we've got you spiking at every company that comes along that says, we need to focus on something commercial strategy. I'm like, you got to talk to Dave, right? I mean, I think that's really sort of the beauty of having that level of experience and being able to bring it outside of the corporate world.
Yeah, and I think, I think it's the space we operate in is incredible, right? I mean, the innovation and technology is great, but frankly, the relationships and the talent that we get to work with, both on the industry side and in the scientific community and the investor community, is really pretty special as well. So you don't ever want to lose that.
I think actually I'm the 1 out of 3 people on camera right now who's not officially worked for AbbVie.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true. There's still time.
No.
What are your thoughts about eye care today? Allergan was in glaucoma, then interventional glaucoma, obviously dry eye, retinal injections and so forth. then presbyopia for a little bit, and interventional glaucoma with Durista. Most of the products succeeded, some don't. That's how you learn and get better. But today, just a couple years later, what are your thoughts? Are you bullish about eye care? Are you guarded? There's just so much innovation here at the OIS meeting here in San Diego. But do you think they'll all make it to scale, make it to commercialization? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Look, I think it's impossible not to be at a meeting like the OIS meeting here and not be bullish on what the future looks like, right? I mean, I think it's been great to be part of a single organization like Allergan, AbbVie, and see, the number of different products that have been delivered into the market over time.
Right.
But you sit in a room like this here and you just hear about the great thinking that's out there, and frankly, just the commitment that everybody in the room has, regardless of what the lens is, on how they can bring that to market, and you can't help but be optimistic. Not everything will be successful. Right. Not everything will get to market. Not everything will be a home run. But I think if you have this kind of ecosystem that feeds the future, it's impossible not to be excited about it.
So one of the things that's come up in some of the other interviews and talking to some of the people who are both inside and outside of, let's say, the strategic side of business has been the attitude towards innovation that big pharma, big device companies have right now, and that the general consensus has been over the past, let's say, few years that there's been this pullback from the innovative life cycle. And what are your thoughts about that? You were in that decision-making process on the inside. Now you see it from the outside. You feel like there's been a lull that's kind of lift over the next few years. Do you feel like there are pipeline gaps that need to be addressed from companies that are presenting here right now? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think there has been a lull, right? I think this is always cyclical, right? But I think innovation comes from all sides, right? And I think sometimes the lull is fueled by strategic, maybe having a different set of priorities or different approach on how they want to strategically resource different development and investments. But oftentimes it comes from a lack of understanding on what is appealing to a strategic to make that type of an investment as well. And I think meetings like this help kind of bridge that gap and drive and build understanding so that you can find the right fit. But I also think we've seen great examples in eye care of companies that have basically been born into this space over the last 5 to 10 years that didn't exist before, right? You've got Tarsus, you've got Glaukos, you've got probably multiple other examples of organizations that weren't even in existence that are now pretty significant players within our space.
Yeah. One of the big reasons Allergan was very successful in eye care, obviously, was Restasis, and your leadership there and growing it to $1.5 billion, just fantastic run. The Yankees never had that run, the Dallas Cowboys or the LA Dodgers never had that run, and so forth. But now, I mean, you've seen it all, right, Dave? And you saw competitors come to landscape, didn't get FDA approval, the FDA was pretty tight, and now all of a sudden you see ads everywhere. You just see so much in OTC. Within prescription therapy, Lifitegrast has a new home. You've got Mibo, you've got Viva, you've got Cequa. You still have Restasis, which is doing well, and you have 4 to 5, generics of Restasis. What are your thoughts on dry eye? Are you still bullish on dry eye? And maybe AbbVie may have something. We're hoping there's more entrance to the market, and Alcon for that matter. Are you bullish? Do you think there's going to be cannibalization going on? Is the market cap going to go up?
Yeah, look, I think dry eye is an incredible story, right? If you really study the history of it over the last 20 plus years.
Right.
Before prescription dry eye therapy like Restasis, it was only artificial tears, right? And in those 20 years, there are now diagnostics, there are multiple therapeutics, there are anti-inflammatories, there are, different types of evaporative ways to address the disease, even prevent tear outflow and so forth. So, the entire category has been fueled and has expanded over the last 2 decades, and I don't think that's going to slow down, right? I think you're going to have other anti-inflammatory agents that affect different parts of the inflammatory cascade, as well as different ways to intervene and affect this disease state. It's still, in spite of all the innovation in the space, is still a very it's still an unmet category, right? There's still a lot of patient need out there that needs to be addressed.
So what's exciting to you? Like, you've been here for, a day so far, right? One half of the program just about to be done. And Anything specifically exciting? I know you're working with some companies. You don't have to talk about those particularly, but what is it that you're seeing that kind of is a little bit more exciting than you would have thought?
Look, I think it's exciting just to be in the environment, to hear the dialogue that's happening and the idea sharing that's happening. I think that's probably the most important takeaway for me. But I also am very excited about things like gene therapy, cell therapy, opportunities to move beyond just palliative treatment to actually address the underlying issues or even restore cellular health or cellular function. And I think that can span every disease state there is, right? Dry eye, glaucoma, retina, whatever it might be. And so when I think of, kind of what the future holds, I'm really excited about, seeing some of those companies develop and have others build upon their success.
All right, last question. So while you were at Allergan, you had access to a lot of information. Who was the better prescriber for Allergan, Jay or me?
Crazy.
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
Come on, man, you got to commit. You're not going to commit?
No, I'm not. I will not speak about that, nor the golf score back in the day.
I will tell you what that
to the
score
grave.
is. I will tell everybody what that score is. I'm not shy.
Whether or not it's believable.
There's one more
is another
question. Today's November 22nd, and we all have families. Gladiator or Wicked?
Well, if it were up to me, it would be Gladiator. But I've got 3 daughters and a wife, so I'm outvoted this year, unfortunately.
Dave LeCause, family man, doing what he has to for his kids. Thank you, Dave. It's great talking to you.
The man, the myth.
Yeah.
Still here and still impacting eye care.
Thanks, OIS.
Thanks, everyone.